I'm Alexandra Harley and I'm a sculptor based in London. I originally came to London to study sculpture at Wimbledon and St Martin's, and I've stayed on and I've been teaching sculpture here for many years. My practice is abstract and I eliminate any reference to representation. I imbue the sculpture with a sense of a fleeting moment and fixing a physical interpretation of a brief and transitory fragment in time. I've been opening out the sculpture recently, creating a delicacy, and the airways have become a significant component buzzing with an internal energy. The interconnected spaces appear to be contained by the structure of the sculpture, but actually the airways are highly fluid, mimicking and working with the taut elements. I have an immersive engagement with materials, each one of which I push to the limits, testing the strength and viability. For many years I worked almost exclusively with wood, but now I explore and research with a wide variety of materials, diversifying and enhancing my visual language. I use different materials to explore an identical concern, challenging ideas in the transfer. My sculpture is constructed from many different components and then often cut and reconfigured. The construction enables me to create sculpture with an openness that would be impossible using one piece of wood.
My name is Beyer. I'm a sculptor. I live in London. I'm permanently on the lookout, and I think the exciting thing of being an artist is that you have this reciprocal inspiration between your studio work and the wider world. So the more you spend time in your studio and work, the wider your eyes are when you go out and go on your walks and recognize things and these things. So I go to museums a lot, I go to galleries, but I also go on a lot of walks and observe things on pavements and stones lying around and so forth. I like to work in groups. I have little practice groups. So one group is called How Do We Get From Here to There, and it's a whole group that sort of is concerned about our relation to landscape. And it's not so much landscapes as a theme in itself. It's the touching points, the meeting points of our involvement with landscape. How do we develop a sense of place, and what signs and signifiers do we leave out in the landscapes? And this is from little planks over paddles to structures of piers, to leftover bits of architectures, maybe much smaller things that we left out somewhere. I started working with clay maybe 3-4 years ago after a long spell of printmaking, and I just wanted to have a very basic material that I can shape and start working with. So I started digging up the garden, mixing the stuff with hay and straw dust, and developing this landscape mountains of adobe that I mixed with recycled slate roof tiles.
My name is Donghwan Ko. I'm a sculptor and drawing artist. I'm originally from South Korea. I'm interested in exploring the space that I have occupied in the past and in the present. The space of a home is the most personal and private space. It separates me from the outside world. But for me, a home is not a fixed space, but an imperfect space that changes or moves along with time. It is a temporary space that requires settlement and adaptation. So while a home gives me a sense of security, I realize that it is a temporary personal space which is unstable and bound by facts that are outside of my control. So I am finding the meaning of a space I live and consider what home means to me. I create my sculptures by using familiar materials. I also think carefully about size. I think that if I had to choose materials that were too unusual or overwhelming, or if the sculpture had been too small in scale, the viewer might have found my work unfamiliar and hard to relate to. I'm always trying to capture the audience's attention through my use of repetition and focus on construction.
Thiago Sancho, brasileiro, bailarino e artista visual. Eu nasci em Niterói, cidade do estado do Rio de Janeiro, mas fui criado e vivi até os 18 anos em Nova Friburgo, na região serrana do Rio de Janeiro. Eu comecei a trabalhar verdadeiramente com artes visuais há 4 anos atrás. Eu estava em um momento de pausa da dança porque eu estava me recuperando da minha segunda cirurgia no joelho. Então, durante esse período de recuperação, que foi de quase um ano, eu senti uma necessidade de continuar me expressando de alguma forma. O meu trabalho é uma espécie de elaboração coreográfica. Então, nesse sentido, a escultura se torna o corpo que executa a dança, que se revela a partir da construção de muitas camadas, cada uma com a sua função e estado. São múltiplos sistemas que juntos se tornam um organismo só. Para mim, a escultura cinética representa a continuação da minha experiência com a dança em outro nível. Eu vejo essas duas expressões, a dança e a escultura, como trajetórias conjuntas e complementares. Eu vejo como um aprofundamento estético e sensorial nessa pesquisa que já me acompanha há tanto tempo, que são os corpos e os seus movimentos. Assim como na prática da dança, onde o bailarino precisa preparar o corpo para poder mergulhar em alguma exploração, quando eu me proponho a construir uma escultura, eu também preciso ativar esse lugar do bailarino. Eu preciso desse preparo para poder desenvolver alguma coisa.
My name is Hua Zhang. I'm an artist who is based in Beijing, China. I'm originally from Beijing, and I studied printmaking at Central Academy of Fine Art, then Information Experience Design at the Royal College of Art. Through my art practice, I attempt to create the moment when rational logic meets emotional factors and to explore how they will affect each other. In this work breeze, the experience of quarantine for 2 weeks inspired me. I was isolated from an outdoor environment, and I was eager to get in closer to the nature and go into the outdoor space. I used machines to create systematic structure in some of my work, robotic arms, CNC plotter, and so on. The mechanical movement creates a sense of accuracy, but at the same time, I discover that also generates some emotional factor when I'm doing certain experiments. This combination between logic and emotion is what I have always wanted to explore.